This conversation was sponsored by Komodo, a zero-knowledge peer-to-peer atomic swap exchange. Learn more at komodoplatform.com. All right, how's it going, everybody? I'm Juansgalt with Juansgalt Crypto TV, and I'm here with Griff, one of the founders of Giveth, and I'm sure you're doing a bunch of other different things that are very cool. You're very involved with Ethereum. You're kind of involved with the Ethereum white hacker team, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had an amazing time at Burningman. You guys invited me over. I'm very honored, and I had an incredible time at Burningman. You guys have to check it out if you can. I'm actually wearing the Burningman sort of shades that I got from a girl that I met there. There's a lot of good people there, and the art is incredible. So thank you for that.
Of course, man. My pleasure. Thanks for coming. It was fun.
Yeah,
out in the desert.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Before we kind of get into a little bit of Giveth, I wanna show people this open source, transparent Ethereum-based kind of governance and accounting model that you guys use to sort of fund the whole project, because it was a big operation, right? Like you guys had built kind of like a tarp headquarters, and you had a massive dome with AC and a bunch of mattresses, and it had like a second layer hammock, and it had LED lights and colors. It was incredible. It was so good. People loved it, the chill dome, because it was like really hot during like peak hours, like 1 p.m. to like 4 p.m. It was deadly hot. And so people would just go there and chill and nap and do all kinds of things, right? And so it was a great spot.
Yeah, so let me give a little background on how Burning Man works. I mean, the first time you go, you're not expected to really do anything. You just enjoy the experience and begin to learn the culture, because at the Burn, there's a culture of giving. And, at first it seems kind of too good to be true. It's like you go into a bar, you ask for a drink, they give it to you, and that's it. No expectation, no barter. It's just like, wow, thank you. And then you walking down the street and someone just hands you a grilled cheese. And it's like, wow, life is good, But it gets contagious, and all of a sudden you want to give. And then for the next year, you're kind of, if you really feel like part of the culture, you decide what do you want to give, And so I've been to the Burn 7 times, and this is like my first time leading a camp decentral. But I have, like, that dome got better and better every year. 5 years ago, I built that dome, and then a couple years later, my friends built the net, and we were camp tie the knot, and they got married. Right, and they tied that net, that crazy hammock net, was handmade. Even that big rope that you climb up, it was actually woven with 12 strings, like, of nylon. It's insane. And then the white box came another year, and then this year we just brought all the mattresses, right? So the full dome, all we had to do with the camp, we bought the AC this year. That was another upgrade, and that was all paid by camp dues. So, the goal of Decentral, our Burning Man think camp, is to make a step forward in decentralizing the Burn. And this was like the first part of that experiment, to see if we can do a completely blockchain-based camp. And so we used the Giveth platform to collect dues. So everyone paid dues in Ether, and they all got a token in return. It's almost like a really bad ICO, right? Because the token has no value, except for when we spend all the money that we can, that we did, for money to come out of our accounting system, you have to submit a milestone with a receipt and all this stuff. And so, we have Jen, who is part of our team at Decentral. She has been kicking it out using our really early stages DAPP, which has, it works, but I wouldn't say it's the minimum viable product, not the minimal lovable product. We're not there yet. So I guess I could show it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. You should have a screen share thing there.
Yeah, let's see. I've never used, there it is. Okay. Share screen.
Zoom is fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this. Yeah, I've never used Zoom before. This is cool.
It's very good.
So that's going to be a new one. But here is decentralized application. So we kind of list the smart contracts that we're using. We have a contract called the Vault, which I made a blog post about. It's early stages. We're still going to audit it, but like there's no dApps out there in this ecosystem, and it really pisses me off, honestly. Like, there's no DAOs, there's no anything, and it's because there's no safe way to store Ether in a smart contract. Even the multi-sig, which, like, I was part of the White Hat group that rescued all that money from those multi-sigs, we don't even trust those all that much. So we really need a safe place to store Ether, and that's like our next big push as Giveth, is to get that vault out there and audited within the greater of our system. So anyway, the vault is right here, and you can see that it has 94 Ether still in it, and we have all these different accounts that can have certain authorities. You can go look at the smart contract for the vault if that's your shtick. But for money to come out of the vault, there's only one way for it to come out, and that's through milestones. And so, like, we had to buy water and gray water removal and a storage container. And so for that, I actually paid in Ether but at the time to Daryl, who is Camp Contact Lead. And at the time, Ether was really cheap. And so the way we did it is that any cost that was incurred is like buying Ether that day, noon UTC time. So the price at noon was 185. So I sent Daryl that much Ether, and I have the records to show it here on these Etherscan transactions. And then and then I'm getting paid back from the camp for making that spend, right? For the EVAP cooler for the chill dome. So that was bought, from Home Depot, and I have the receipts, so we can go look at this drive. Here's the EVAP cooler receipt right here. It shows how much I spent, and it's all this URL is recorded in the blockchain, and this DAPP is a true DAPP. It's reading the data off the blockchain, and you can actually go into Etherscan and get this link.
Wow.
So complete transparency, and it's going a little slow because our DAPP could use a little work. We can only submit 5 milestones at a time, and it's because of block limits, block size limits, and inefficient storage that we're doing. It's kind of the proof of concept. But lots of people have been getting their milestones filled out, and it's happening. So it's pretty exciting. This is kind of the first stage. Decentral was like the first step towards DAOifying the burn, but we're hoping to make it larger. Barakite is a burner who is starting to get into some of this, some of the decentralization stuff. I think they're going to do a project called Emergence. It'll be really interesting. And I'm going to try to talk to him about other ways that we can step forward in this process of DAOifying the burn in general. It would be really nice to, everyone has these lines. It's so hard. There's a line to go get like a watch at Dr. Bronner's or a lot of cool stuff at the burn. And maybe we can try to get them to issue tokens, and you can only get in if you have a token. Or maybe not. Maybe that works for some people, maybe not. But I do know that tokenizing their ticket sale would be really nice. But what's really cool about the real target that I have for getting the burn on the blockchain is the total foundation, the actual foundation of Burningman. They have these 10 principles, radical participation, radical inclusion, and there's a bunch more that really are exemplified on with blockchain tech in a DAO, where anyone could be a part of organizing Burning Man or funding art projects and adding complete transparency into where the money is spent and who gets to spend it and how decisions are made. I think that in general, the burner culture would be really open to that, and that's why they're one of my prime targets for DAOification. But
absolutely. I mean, I can really see it. I can really see the potential that you guys had a dome where you were doing speeches. You did speeches, I think, pretty much the whole week. You had some incredible speakers. There's some big names. Maybe like throw a few names.
I think Juan Galt spoke. I think he did an intro. I think he did an intro to blockchain talk.
Yeah, we did a Q&A. It was really good. I'm proud of it. I'm looking forward to it sort of coming out. Brock Pierce was there. Wow, I didn't actually get to meet him, but I heard he was sort of hanging around. I mean, I heard big names in general were there, like Elon Musk and Zuckerberg was there, and who knows how many other people. But in our camp, we had the leader of the White Hacker Group. I actually did an interview with him. I will publish that soon. And Jordy, we had a really good time.
Yeah, Jordy works on Giveth with me. We're like, we actually pretty much do all our projects together. I love that man.
Good man, really good man.
He's incredible. He's actually a big part of the. I don't know if you know this is happening. Well, you do probably because of the burn. But there's a revolution afoot in Spain, in southern Spain. The country of Catalonia is going to get its independence on October 1st.
I've been hearing things. Yeah.
So they're voting for independence from Spain. Basically, Barcelona and the surrounding area is going to become its own separate country, back like it was hundreds of years ago. And it's definitely going to pass, but Spain is saying it's illegal. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see how that comes up. And he's been a major part of that. He actually designed the voting system for them. So this was a huge part of it. And for a while, like 10 years ago or something, he was almost it's like you could say the CTO of the revolution. And so now he's a little bit more behind the scenes. I mean, he's really busy with Giveth and a lot of other blockchain work. But yeah, so he was there. Joe Lubin gave a talk. We had Vlad Zamfir was in our camp. He gave a talk.
Number 2 Ethereum.
Yeah.
Good dude too. Very interesting. Very smart guy.
Yeah, Dominic Williams gave a talk. We also had the first marriage on the blockchain at Burningman.
Amazing.
Yeah,
so good.
We have a really cool marriage contract, and it's just like people don't understand the power of blockchain technology and what it really can bring to this world on crushing monopolies. Monopolies have a value. There is a value to being a single point for the truth, and that's why we have these monopolies. When we all know monopolies are bad, we still go towards them because it's easier. And with blockchain tech, we can have a decentralized source of truth. You shouldn't have to ask permission to get married. Okay, that's ridiculous. And these guys proved it at our camp this year. They got married on the blockchain, and they didn't have to ask a judge to certify it. It's certified on the blockchain, and they could prove their marriage to anyone at any time by just pointing out, going to Etherscan, right?
It's undeniable. Yeah, it's undeniable. Like it's a system of truthful accounting, in a sense, of historical authentication that is designed to be very, very difficult to corrupt.
Yeah. And
so like no longer do you have to sort of concede or appeal to an authority to verify that something happened. You have this third form of organization that through physics and math and cryptography like stamps the truth into the universe, in a sense. And as long as somebody has the copy of the history, it's undeniable. It's sort of a chain of cryptographic hashes that authenticate the whole thing. It's incredible, right?
I mean, it blows my mind.
Every time I talk about it, I'm like,
yeah, like, and just new epiphanies all the time on what this tech can bring. There's so many cool projects out there. If you look at the DAPP, I think it's called dapps.ethercast. There's just so many projects. Like if you want to get involved in this space, there's two crazy things. First, there's so many projects, so many opportunities. The other thing is there's so much money in this space.
Yeah.
Like there is more money than manpower. And there's way too many people, in my opinion, starting their own little project. I think that there's enough projects out there. You can just go find the projects that excite you and hang out in their Slack and make yourself useful. They will hire you. They just probably raised $20 million or something ridiculous, right? Like they need your help. And I encourage everyone who has the spare time and the interest to start working on a project and and give it. That's how I got into this.
And you'll make money. Like you'll get paid for it, right? Like you. This is. Yeah, I mean, this is one of my favorite strategies as far as crypto. You know, and it's what I've found very useful is like go and look at the list of projects that there's endless. There's probably tens of thousands at this point, and pick one that you like, and then get in. And you'll make money because money will come because this is a high innovation, very creative, very exciting, very liquid, very frictionless marketplace. And so people will like, if you're anywhere near useful, you'll start making some money. That's how I started. And it's one of the best ways to do it because you can speculate it, you can trade it, you try to do investment research and like it. That's hard. That's really hard. But pick a company, pick a crypto project, and you'll probably be okay.
Yeah, just hodl, man. Just hold.
Hodl.
Don't try to become a trader unless that's something you're really into. If you have a good gambling addiction, you know, maybe it's for you. But like honestly, it's easier just to buy the coins you believe in, forget about the price, and start working in the tech area. I mean, like that's how you did. That's how I did it. I actually got a master's degree in digital currencies, and and then I was focused on decentralizing the sharing economy. And I just Googled that and found Slockit, and I got in with Slockit really early and helped build the DAO. And now I'm part of the White Hat group and all these things. And just like one opportunity after the other came, just because I think basically because I was obsessed and I just can't stop working on this stuff. So, you know, and there's a lack of that. There's a lack of people that are working on this, pushing it forward. So, and I'm also not a technical guy. I brag about this sometimes. I was number 4 on the commits for the DAO, but at the same time, those were just comments, right? I was the lead commenter, or like at least I was the only English native speaker on the team, so that helps. And then and now I have, you know, my own project, you know, which is so cool to just be leading, you know. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, is that Giveth your main project right now? Your own project?
Yeah. I don't really work on anything else. Sometimes things come up like, you know, White Hat Group stuff or something. You know, I'm always helping anyone that I can if they come up. But for the most part, I just focus on Giveth. We're trying to build communities around causes. Underlying, you know, foundation of complete transparency and accountability. So kind of like with Decentral, where, you know, you can see exactly where your money goes.
I want to ask you more a little bit about how you guys build the Giveth, because obviously you were involved with the DAO. You're working with one of the lead guy of the White Hat hacker group. It seems to me like Giveth is perhaps one of the most sort of cutting edge and experienced sort of teams. And I was looking at Giveth, and it seems like you have multiple smart contracts that are isolated and they sort of interact with each other. Can you talk a little bit about sort of how, like what you learned from the DAO? What do you think Ethereum done, or maybe you guys learned from the DAO, and how you see the development of dApps kind of going forward as far as like, you know, distributing risk and improving security and access and all that?
Everything we are doing with Giveth is completely taking the lessons of the DAO and building upon that. The lessons on the smart contract side are really important, but the lessons on the cultural side are really important too. You know, there was a lot of cultural code that went awry on the DAO. But of course, the smart contract code kind of trumped it. So.
Good.
On the contract side, we're using the mini-me token contract, which also we built it for Giveth, but we ended up status.im uses it, Swarm City, District OX, and Oregon all use it because it really enables voting and a lot of other cool features. It's called the mini-me token contract because it allows you to clone your token and use so that your governance token, your main token, can be free to do whatever it's supposed to do, and people then can tap into the community and issue everybody who has the original token a new token that then can be used for voting, or then can be used for a coupon to Jiffy Lube. Like, you can use it for anything, right? And what's really cool about it is it allows for permissionless innovation. It allows for anyone in the community to issue a token to everybody there. And if it's cool, people will use it. If it's not, it doesn't matter. They just have an extra token sitting there that they don't ever use. But it's just really nice that you don't have to go talk to the developers and say, hey, I have this idea. Do you think I can do it? No, you just do it. And then if it sticks, it sticks. So that's the Mini-Me token. The vault I kind of talked about. It's designed to be a safe place to store Ether. So it has all the bells and whistles. It has a time delay for payments. It has an owner that can cancel payments. It has a whitelist. It has so that like you can only certain people can withdraw from the vault. It has all these centralizing features that as you develop your DApp, because unfortunately, one of the big lessons we learned from the DAO is you don't start off decentralized. You have to build trust in your code base, and as you build trust, you can remove the centralizing security features so that it can become decentralized. And so we're taking this approach where you have all of these features, these security features that end up being centralizing, but you can always just set the owner to 0. You can set the time delay to 0. You can, you can basically we make it really easy to start off centralized with the vault and secure Ether as secure as you can in a smart contract. And then, but in a centralized way, and then slowly decentralize as you gain trust in the code.
Wow, that's really fascinating.
Yeah. Those are the two core pieces. But then we have this other contract that I'm really excited about that we're working on right now called Liquid Pledging. And it's basically like liquid democracy. I assume you've heard of liquid democracy.
Yeah.
I don't know if your viewers know, but
fascinating, very exciting stuff.
They can just go look it up. It's fucking cool. It's like direct democracy mixed with representative democracy with tokenized voting, right?
With like instant accountability. So like at least the models that I've heard is like, okay, everybody has an individual token. Let's call it like the proof of citizenship, right? And then some dude says, hey, I want to make this happen. So you delegate your votes to him, or some dude says, hey, I think I understand this problem enough. You delegate your votes to this guy, and this guy goes and chooses somebody. If at any point you don't like what this guy is doing, you could retrieve your vote, and you are essentially retrieving your consent, right? Yeah. And so like if you started to build this cryptography and the actual sort of societal systems, attach them to the crypto, then it could actually revoke physical power that they would have over resources. But at the very least, it revokes consent. And that basically is the face of democracy, is the spirit of democracy, which often gets corrupted by all the kind of, let's say the old technologies and the centralization of the old technologies, right?
Yeah.
Among other things.
So the way I met Jordy was that he actually developed liquid democracy for the DAO. Literally the day the DAO got hacked, I was writing a blog post about how awesome it was that we already have that like 3 weeks in. That because it worked. He did it. I delegated my vote to him, and he voted for me on a proposal. So we had liquid democracy for the DAO. I was about to tell everyone about it. I woke up the next day, and the DAO was getting hacked. So that was cool. But now we're using that same tech to actually delegate donations. So like if someone wants to donate to orphans, right, they can just donate to orphans and then have a delegate that can kind of send their donation to somebody else. So this is how we're in a way decentralizing charity, but honestly, it's just something different. We're just trying to build a decentralized organization that will allow for people who want to make the world a better place to work together to do it and share resources effectively. It's just something else, But so they can delegate their donation to this guy, and then he can delegate it to another guy, and he can delegate it to another guy, and then every time that happens in outside the blockchain, Giveth is going to connect the person who donated to the people who are controlling their donation, and then at any time the donor can actually take their donation completely back out of the system until eventually it's locked for a specific purpose. Once one of the delegates actually says now I think we're going to support this project, which is going to build an orphanage in Japan, right? Then if the donor doesn't veto it and none of the other delegates veto it, then it's locked there for the orphanage in Japan to use to achieve their milestones.
That's fantastic. I think I really get what you're saying when you say that you're trying to build something different. There's this whole ICO boom, right? Where people are sort of giving money to companies in order to, with the expectation that the company, may produce revenue in the future. Probably, they're expecting that it will, but at the very least, the price will pump. And it's all very kind of like you're trying to build business models that are sort of capitalistic and sort of, they're sort of like corporations. They're sort of money-making machines, right? And, I have no problem with capitalism, right? But I find it really interesting that the idea of like a charity DAO, governance DAO, where in a sense, anybody that cares about something, like you could have people that are interested in, let's say, improving the education system in a particular area.
Yeah.
In order for, because their personal private business is looking for talent and there's a shortage of talent pool, right? So they could join a charity or create a Giveth charity in that local area to fund education and govern the education efforts with transparency, and not have an immediate business sort of return from the charity, but have like a community sort of human capital return seen over here. And so it's like, you don't need to have a strict business model if you're doing charity, and for whatever reasons you're doing, perhaps you have some money, you want to make sure that it goes to the right place. If you're donating, this would be kind of, it's designed to sort of show you what's happening, which is obviously very innovative in the current world.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's difficult to say or a tough sell to say, like, there's a lack of trust in the charitable system today.
Oh yeah,
and it's because there's no transparency, and I think it's because you don't get to see where your money goes, and you don't know who's using it. It's just a big unknown. Like, if you spend money, is a weird thing, people's head goes a little funny around money, and that's a whole different topic about the story around money and whether or not it's good or bad. The fact is, we're working with this specific story where you can hand someone a piece of paper and they're supposed to do what you want, right?
Yeah.
But with charity, it doesn't work that way. You hand someone this piece of paper and you just have to hope that something good happened with it. Like, do you go to Subway and get a sandwich and hope that it has mustard on it? No, man. You
get it.
I want extra mustard and extra tomatoes and no green peppers, and you're good. That's what you get. But with charity, it doesn't work that way. And I feel like we're creatures of habit, and I think we can build something that will allow people to have it whatever way they want, to have the charity that they want, and have their donations get spent the way they want it to be spent. And that's what we're building. And it's completely open source. It's going to take a life of its own, I hope. And I'm really excited about building this baseline system where I don't know if your audience is a lot of devs, but I'm really excited for devs to start playing around with it, because we're building a really simple system with a lot of tools and a lot of opportunity for permissionless innovation. Like, that's one of our key values, is to allow people to experiment with different governance systems. We don't have any voting of any sort in our baseline system. It's like, if you donate, you control your funds. However, a delegate is just an Ethereum address. So of course it can just be a person, but maybe you could DAOify it. Maybe you could create a futurarchy DAO or a liquid democracy DAO or any kind of DAO to be a delegate or to be a campaign manager or to be any of these roles. And I think it would be cool for, like, if you are going to do a futurarchy DAO for Gnosis or they are really into futurarchy. Well, they could take the Giveth platform and do a dry run with their futurarchy project for helping dolphins, and they could collect money to help dolphins or whatever charitable cause they want, and then use their futurarchy DAO live to see how it works to make the world a better place at the same time, and and then they actually get to see what bugs they have, what cultural bugs they might have in the implementation, and start doing some better documentation. And they can learn how the system works while making the world a better place. And then they can take that to their investors and say, hey, we beta tested this live. Let's go and let's make a bunch of money doing prediction markets. But but on the side, hey, why not see if you can help dolphins? And then what's great about the Giveth system is everything is open source, and we're trying to make sure that communication is strong between everyone in all the systems. We're going way out of our way to connect all the people, make sure that everyone kind of has this web of connections. And so if FutureArchy works really well for dolphins, maybe we can take that to, help homeless people in Barcelona, or, feed the hungry in LA, wherever whatever project wants to take it. It's all out there. It's all open source. We actually chose a GPL license to make sure everything stays open source. And then you can just plop that in, and you're helping dolphins, hungry, feeding the hungry and impoverished, and it can spread virally.
That's very exciting. We have 2 minutes and 20 seconds before this clip ends. Yeah. What do you see for the future of Giveth? I suppose you just sort of laid out kind of your vision. But is there anything kind of more immediate, anything that you guys are working on? And I don't know if you can fit this in there, but I'm curious how you guys are funding the development. Is it kind of self-funded, kind of like a passion project with sort of other hopes? And what kind of talent are you looking for? What kind of help are you looking for?
I mean, we're always open to anybody. We have actually this really cool system called a reward DAO, where if anyone contributes open source, we have a core team. We have a pretty
less than a minute
fleshed out core team that has all the main pieces that we need. But there's always opportunity for open source development and filling out the wiki and these kinds of things. We're going to start pushing live pretty soon. This Burningman thing was a big distraction for me, but now we're
a fun distraction.
Now we're ready to get started. We have we're working on our new MVP right here, and you can see kind of the way it's set up now is not how we're going to do it full time. So we're playing around with this UI, and we have a lot of open source opportunities. But either way, we actually have $1,000, almost like a block reward, for anyone that contributes to our project.
Wow!
So if they come into our Slack and they do a good job, we will put them in the reward DAO, and the core team will vote on who gets the $1,000, and then it'll be split amongst whoever contributed that week, who's not on the core team. And then they get it through our DAPP. So
wow.
What was there was another part of your question, but we only have
I think we're gonna run it. It literally says less than a minute. So let's stop right here. Thank you so much for your time. We can probably record another one either now or later, but that was really interesting. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And check out Giveth.io. I'll leave the links below. Thank you, Griff, for your time. It was very, very interesting stuff.
My pleasure, Juan. Thanks for coming to Burn. I'll see you next year.
Yeah, for sure.